Roger Clark. I'm retired from American Electric Power Company.
Okay. What was your part in the bridge disaster?
I had just come across the bridge not 5 minutes before it collapsed. I worked at Okan Harbor, and I was washing my hand getting ready to come home because I was past the quitting time. And when the lights flickered, and had one of my friends come up and told me the bridge collapsed. Of course, I thought he was crazy, but I went out and looked, and sure enough, it was going. So we went back, took our truck and went down to see if we could help. And we tried to help people that needed it. And we took a couple of bodies out. And then about 7 o'clock that night, we decided we need to go home. And of course, we couldn't get a phone call over to Point Pleasant, I didn't know, and I knew I always passed my sister on the bridge at the same time.
So you were on the Ohio side?
I was on the high side, she was on the West Virginia side. So anyway.
So when the bridge collapsed, where did you end up? On the
high side, yeah.
Okay.
And so we had to go up and cross over the old bridge at Mason, which gave us an eerie thought. But anyway, he got home and found out my sister had been on the bridge. The car in front of her had fell, and she backed off the bridge. And she was pregnant with twins at the time, and she went into hysterics, so they put her in the hospital. So I visited her, and the only thing she was worried about was hitting the car that she backed into. And I said, if I'd thought that fast, I'd have had Charleston. But anyway, we left. I got home. An hour or two later, I got a call from West Virginia National Guards that they wanted me to come out on active duty at the bridge. So I was on active duty for 3 weeks, helping to take the bodies out of the river. Once the Army engineer and then bring them up, we'd have to go out and get them and bring them back and take them to the morgue, which I had a temporary morgue set up at the National Guard Armory. Had one set up at the church here too, I think. But anyway, I spent 3 weeks doing that. And
did you find anyone that was alive?
No.
Okay.
Never found nobody was alive. Even after 3 weeks, some of the vehicles they were bringing up, the lights are still on. The batteries are still working the lights. And it was, at that time, it was, I don't know, it's terrible to see the bodies. Seeing broken backs, I've seen legs, ankles and things about severed. And anyway, that's basically what I did for 3 weeks.
As part of the National Guard, what was your job to, I don't know, what did you do during that?
I was a machinist.
Okay.
As a sergeant.
I wasn't sure if you were operating cranes or just hands.
No, not that time. I was a machinist at Okan Harbor where I was working at. And I had, what I did that evening, or that day, I made some parts for the mines back up there in Leon. And anyway, I took the parts back up there, and that's the reason why I was late being on the bridge. And, otherwise, and then my sister's on this side, and she was being held up by either my brother or my sister about doing something, and anyway, that's the reason why she wasn't in the middle of it. Because we'd have both been right in the middle. That's where we passed every day. Quitting time.
So you spent 3 weeks waiting for them to signal you to go out and retrieve.
Right, retrieve the bodies.
Retrieve the bodies. You were on a runabout type.
It was an Army duck.
Army duck. So that was a crew of 3 or 4?
Yeah, there was about 5 of us. 5 or 6 of us.
So how's this changed you in, since?
Well, it's made me a little bit leery of the bridge still yet today. Okay, I'm not afraid of it, but I'm still leery.
You keep one eye
I
on
don't want to stop on them, let's put it that way.
And you don't want to get close to the next vehicle
Yeah.
either.
And it made me grow up, let's put it that way. Knowing what can happen, because you always think you can live without anything happening to you, and that's not true.
How old were you at the time?
Let me see, I've been, 40 years ago, and I'm 69 now, so
It's 45 years ago.
45. I was in my late 20s.
How many of the people that perished did you know?
About everybody I took off, helped take out there, and I think at that time we took something like 15, 20 bodies off. So I think quite,
You knew most of them.
yeah, because I've lived here all my life.
Mhm. So you still encounter their families?
Right.
Is there any other experiences you'd like to share?
It was the day that happened, that day we went back down, we had a guy that I worked with, and him and his family was on that bridge. I mean, they was over the land. And him and his family was standing there at the car was on a piece of concrete that fell to the ground. And he said it was like landing on a cushion.
So it didn't flip
It
or
didn't hurt the
anything?
car, and it didn't hurt any of them, which
Huh.
they were lucky at the time.
But they dropped how far?
Oh, I'd say they dropped 25, 30 feet.
They said it was like landing on a cushion.
Yeah.
Boy, relatively speaking, that's sort of a miracle, isn't it?
Yeah, because the tractor trailers that was ahead of them, things, they all flipped over. And one of the tractor trailers, the driver was dead and the guy in the sleeper was alive, and it reversed in the other truck.
So there were two
There was two tractor trailers.
tractor trailers and two people in each of them.
You know, then the Galveston Fire Department showed up, and they didn't have any fire access to help get people out. So I went back to the shop and got fire access. I hadn't seen them to this day since.
Never did get
I
your
never really
access
cared. And, you know, our boss was worried about us, so he couldn't get a phone call into us.
back. Oh, yeah.
There was probably nobody trying to swim for it at the time, was there?
No, never seen nobody. In fact, we went back and got our derrick crane and brought it back up on the barge. And, but the things were just too heavy for it to do anything with it. So,
Probably had to be cut apart in the water. and-
pardon?
It probably had to be cut apart in the water with
Yeah.
torches.
Well, he was gonna try to get things out of the river too, but it was just too much.
So for 3 weeks, you were aware of everything that was occurring in terms of retrieval and
Right.
removal.
Right.
And then what would happen with all the materials that did come out?
They loaded it on like a barge,
Uh-huh.
take it out. The Army engineers did. They had divers going down and seeing what they could see. But they said it was so, the current was so strong that they couldn't hardly hold their mouthpiece in.
Hmm. So that would have been a real struggle,
Right.
plus how cold it was.
Yeah.
Hmm. Did you see the pieces of the bridge that they tried to reassemble or
Yeah, they was sticking out of the water and where they'd come down off the pier.
Uh,
And I guess I understood it just flipped over. So, but no, we seen it. I got to see all of that. So
Your sister, was she successful with the twins being
yeah,
born?
she had boy and girl twins later on, and she's been on BBC. They always about every other year or so would come and talk to her.
Uh-huh.
About the bridge. Then she passed away about 2 years ago.
Well, it'd be a challenge to live with those memories,
Yeah.
and obviously yours too. Never made you think to move away, did it?
Pardon?
You never thought to move away from here?
No, my whole family lives here. I had 4 sisters and 1 brother. And then all my cousins and aunts and uncles. So,
Did you lose any relatives in the disaster? Oh, you,
lost some good friends, but didn't lose any.
no relatives.
Right.
How did from your perspective, how did the community adjust? What kind of time did it take for people to develop normalcy?
I think they're still having trouble today. Some of them are. But I know that the memory of the bridge collapsing kept people from wanting to go across the Shadle Bridge or the one up to Mason. They was afraid. I had a sister that would not go back across it. And I had an aunt that would not go back across it. And she lived in a high school. You want to see her yet? Go to the high.
You have to make an appointment to get to
Right.
visit with her.
But, no, I think it took them several years. Because, I mean, there was whole families wiped out.
Yeah.
How about the adjustments afterwards with transportation?
Afterwards, we had, in order to go to work, they had to go up to Mason, go across the bridge. Then they started a ferry up, and we helped build the ferry, the barge that they went across on. And then the boat company took the barge and used the ferry, and they'd ferry us across the river back and forth, including tractor trailers, and a lot of traffic went through here. I think at that time they was talking about in a 24-hour period, like 2,000 tractor trailers.
So was it more advantageous maybe to go to Mason and cross, or to wait for the ferry?
Well, wait for the ferry is about as fast going, well, you hit 30 miles out of your way, or better. And we take the ferry.
So you lived in West Virginia and worked over here?
I lived in West Virginia here in Point Pleasant, and I worked in, got a place called Cadalga.
Right.
And,
Okay.
worked at Okan Harbor as a machinist. And I worked there about 7 years.
How long did you remain in the National Guard after?
9.5 years.
How many, 9.5?
Right.
Were you called into other disaster situations?
No,
Nothing, nothing like that?
no. Has anyone has ever called out on?
Well, congratulations on your retirement.
All right.